Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Today, I have the cards turned over. Just felt guided to start that way today. No particular reason, but let's just see what we have today. It's quite a bit. Okay. All right. Okay. It's a pretty decent way to start. We got the Eight of Pentacles. I'm sorry, the Nine of Pentacles. Danae, not you starting off wrong already in the first draw. The Nine of Pentacles and the Lovers card. Okay. All right, I like the sounds of that. Oh my goodness, and then the Six of Cups here. Okay, so let's see, we got, this is like independence, stability, material fulfillment from a spiritual essence. And then you got the Lovers card here. Okay, so the song, I was hesitant to sing because I know how it is when people always be singing on their messages and stuff, but it just won't stop playing in my ear, so I'm just going to sing it. Lord, I will lift my eyes to the hills, knowing my help is coming from you. Your peace you give me in time of a storm. You are the source of my strength. You are the strength of my life. I lift my hands in total praise to you. That's a song that was on my heart, not even just today, but yesterday. It just kept playing, and I felt it today, but I was like, is that really what I want to sing right now? And I just didn't want to feel like I was overdoing it on the singing, but I guess how can you when it persists the way that it does? And then these two cards coming out now just kind of like blared out at me that that's exactly the essence of the musical message, is that this Nine of Pentacles looked to her highest self. That's what the essence of that card, and with the Lovers card here. And it could be masculine or feminine, of course, but the essence of the Nine of Pentacles is the feminine, and the Lovers card implies that perhaps both, and most certainly both, that there was this surrender to source, knowing the source of strength, knowing the source of substance, of stability, of security. There was a surrenderance to that reality in a way that was very intangible at first. The Nine of Pentacles implies that it becomes a tangible return and reward for first the spiritual surrender, just being in divine alignment, literally choosing your higher self, allowing yourself to be a vessel or a conduit of ethereal essence or intel even. And then that wholeness of you, that vibration of you being a match and an alignment for others in the earth, not just in the relational sense of intimacy, but in co-creation in general, that your vibration becomes a beacon for others to see and then align with. And then the things that are created from that synergy are what are magnified in the earth and would expand that ethereal essence and presence from a source perspective into a material essence, if that makes sense. So this is a beautiful way to start. The Six of Cups is like, it could be past life, and definitely giving me that with the Lovers card here. This is like original man and woman in a sense, is what I like to say, in essence, more or less. But it's you returning to your original identity, your organic self, your organic being before all of, or even beyond all of the carnal interference that is projected and assumed and consumed once we become flesh. There's the essence of us that exists in the spiritual realm that is completely untainted, justified as it is, whole and complete as it is, and then we come through that birth canal and enter into this ethereal, into this energetic realm we call Earth. And then, some things get lost in translation, but this is like a return to that. It was a reverence of that first and foremost, believing that, with all of your physical, humanistic being, that there was something more to be explored and experienced than just what the physical plane has to offer. And then that essence being experienced in real time, like in true form, like you bringing the heavens down to earth, or more practically the visions that you held for yourself that may have seemed a little bit, beyond attainability, that may have seemed a little bit bigger than life, or at least the life that was projected around you, or the life that you could perceive to be possible in the physical sense, but yet you still maintain a focus on that, a hope for it, even a faith for it, and then it becomes so. This past life energy, I feel like, is old, those old dynamics of relationship, divine union coming back into play in a higher vibration. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be, it doesn't have to be past life. It doesn't even have to be someone that you can identify with as a sure, like, this was my old boyfriend or old girlfriend or ex-husband, wife, whatever the case may be, or even old business partner, or whatever the reconnection is. It's a coming together of familiar souls. Like I was saying, like this essence of familiarity where, you're a beacon of light, and that beacon is recognizable by another beacon of light, and the two souls can align because there's a synergy, a spiritual synergy there. Like when you can recognize someone's soul, as something that is a high vibrational alignment or match to yours, something you can see value in co-creating with or connecting with. That's what this energy of the Six of Cups means. Now, it definitely can be past life relationships coming back for a second chance, or another chance, or a reemergence, a regeneration of sorts. Now that timing has changed, this is what was now coming into an evolved state of being. Some things have transpired, some transitions have occurred, and there was a transmutation of this past spiritual essence with the cups energy here that has allowed there to be a reemergence of that connection and that co-creativity. now on this timeline, in this realm, in this dimension, at such a time as this, that because of the energetic work that individuals are doing on themselves and the commitments they're making to themselves and to their spiritual excellence, there is opportunity for more connectivity one to another, whereas before there was a lot of roaming around in the dark and not really being as self-aware of our full spiritual nature. But more and more people are starting to be aware of who they are, the power they possess, just how unique their presence is in the earth, how impactful they are in the individual sense. And it's like raising the creative consciousness in such a way that you're more intentional about the caliber of creativity that you expel. And so therefore, that's raising the vibration for that match or matches, those soul level connections that are going to add to that and then expand that force. As they say, two heads are better than one. It could be a multitude, a tribe, a soul tribe doesn't just have to be one-on-one, but because of the Lovers and the Two and the Six of Cups here, it's just very much so firstly thoughtful about it being partnership, which of course, as I will say until it no longer is, we are in the Venus retrograde in Leo, which is still very much so allowing us to take inventory over our partnerships, our relationships, the way that we make money, our relationship to money, the value of love in our lives, and how we use that force to create from, and if we do at all, this is the inventory that we're taking. So I feel like this is a positive start, that there's already been some stabilization of self to be an attraction to others. And if there's anything that I would say in adverse, it would just be to continue to be mindful that we are in the Venus retrograde, where there are he's offering something to this feminine energy here. There's an exchange happening. So just to continue to be aware and cognizant of the opportunities for creativity, intimately and professionally, personally, however way however way they present themselves, to continue to use this foundation of divine alignment as your baseline. That's the standard. Not everything that has a familiar attachment or familiar presence or feeling is necessary and comes back or shows itself, because also Mercury retrograde and its pre-shadow is very much so in effect as well. So not everything that presents itself to be a match is so. Not everything that you have an attachment to necessarily gets to be revisited in the place that you're in now. You've cultivated some great, some substantial position of independence, and the last thing that you want to do is to backtrack into a state or an experience of codependency on account of familiarity. Okay, that's just what I'm getting from that, and in the most adverse projection, but it feels very good to me right now. All right, so let's see what we got. Yeah, but see, just as I said that, because people are still plotting and planning. They don't know what, some, not all, and there's just still this energy out there that would like to cause a dissension between you and your highest self, let alone you and your highest possibilities and partnerships. There's still a vibration out there that is just insistent on being obstinate to life moving forward and evolving, because of choices that have been made. Not everybody chose their highest self. Not everybody chose the higher road, the higher path, not everybody chose, to satisfy their spiritual senses or even just explore their spiritual nature and open themselves up to the understanding of their spiritual essence beyond what their carnal creativity, how their carnal creativity may have possessed them. So there have been a lot of choices that were made that have not been in the most high vibrational sense. And with the Seven of Swords here, that's definitely not an energy of anything particularly positive. That's looking to kill, steal, and destroy ultimately, having some malintention toward a thing, or just in life in general, to just get over in life, to always be looking to one up someone or be deceitful, to get the most for the least, those type of vibrations, or presenting themselves as one energy but really they're another. Page of Cups is some type of, and this is the offering, this is what I was saying before about just being mindful of your standards. Like, don't not allowing yourself to lower your standard for anything that looks good, simply, and also being open to the things that, I don't know why I'm saying this, but I feel it, that don't necessarily look all that great on the outside, but may have potential. Because with the Page of Cups, the adverse of that is that some offers, may seem small. With a love offer of the page, it might not seem, it may be a friendship that grows into something more. It may be a business, a creative collaboration that expands into a dynasty, something that grows, two creative entities coming together and making something even bigger than either one of them could have considered on their own, and so it's as much as it is a thought to be mindful, I think it's also even more so to be discerning and have an open heart, with the Page of Cups here, that, as long as it's something that there's a sensibility about the cup energy where sensibly what feels good to you, what feels like a match. And it's not always about the attachments of familiarity. Sometimes we go with that just for the attachment alone, when everything in our senses and in our being is saying, nah, this don't feel great, this don't feel good. Or there are things that are happening within, those that connection that are leading you to the answer that, no, this is not a good idea, this is not where it's at. And we bypass those signs and signals because of the attachments in some familiar way or a complacent way that we're, feeling conditioned to stay connected. But there are some things that are, I'm hearing right now, despise not small beginnings, which is a message in the Bible. Don't be afraid of something starting off small that feels good, because it could have a potential to expand beyond your wildest imagination, if in fact the intentions and the foundation of it are pure. Now, sometimes with the Page of Cups, it's a bit questionable to me. The pages in general are generally messages or offers that more or less are pretty high vibrational. The only other one that always gives me a question mark is the Page of Swords, because he's usually up to no good. But the Page of Cups is just like a consider with caution type of card. Just be considerate of the offer, and but be discerning as well, because as I said, it could be something that presents itself small, a small gesture of emotional offerings, such as like an expression of endearment, some small even love offering or admiration. Sometimes it could be an apology even, so maybe there's an opportunity for reconciliation in some relational situation that doesn't necessarily, because even with the fish in the cup, even with reconciliation, it still doesn't necessarily mean that you have to come back to an attachment of sorts, but sometimes reconciliation is just the closure that you need to move forward. So as these situations from past experiences may reemerge, it just may be an opportunity to close a chapter so that you can begin a new one. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, begin again, but it can just be a good closing, something that can really settle your vibration so that chapter isn't open anymore. And I would like to say that every reconciliation and apology doesn't require a restart, it doesn't call for that. So although this energy here usually is not the greatest in the highest of high vibrations, it could just be being careful not to really catch yourself up in a trap, even if the other energy is meaning well with their apology or their offering of love or their admiration or their condolences or regrets, even sometimes with the Page of Cups, or some emotional expression. It may even be sincere. It may be themselves trying to take a higher road, or maybe you are the one that needs to offer some expression of sorts. And it may be sincere. It may be from the highest perspective, a high vibrational action or intention that just the caution is not to allow it to still be a regression, allow it to still be a progression forward, so that you don't trick yourself up into thinking that it's something more than it actually needs to be beyond just a closed door. Nothing wrong with closed doors. And yeah, here's that Two of Cups that almost came out. And these are offers as well, exchanges, commitments, contracts. Again, that can be platonic, intimate, professional. It's just an agreement between two individuals. As I said, there's just an accordance here. It can be anything and it can be nothing at all, but there's a settlement here of two individuals in a spiritual sense that are just on the same page. Maybe perhaps it could be a parting of ways in one sense or another, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a negative one. It doesn't have to be low vibrational. What's that phrase? Consciously uncoupling. I heard somebody say that one time, and I just thought that was so interesting. And they actually did have a very amicable breakup and split up, actual divorce, and it wasn't anything, nasty as far as I knew or I could tell. They were very mature also, but the invitation is to be mature and wise in spirit. We're talking about ancient energy here, where you're not tangled up in the projections of the world that, makes relational things so much more, I don't even know. I almost said trivial, but I guess in a sense trivial, but I'll say traumatic than they need to be when you start steep it up in pride and ego and sharing property and even children and all the things that kind of tug on the heartstrings or even on your lower natures. But if there is a detachment or a split or parting of ways, it can be a very settling one, one that has the promise of a connectivity that may not be in the physical sense, but there's a settling in the spirit so that there's not a continued attachment. That's what it is. Like sometimes when you have those breakups that are pretty messy, or just, like I said, just a parting of ways that are messy, even in the professional sense, it can leave a stain on your heart and on your spirit, and something that you don't even know is still traveling with you, which is that Six of Cups energy. Perhaps there's still some traveling of energy from past experiences, past life, or past years, maybe last week, I don't know. But a past experience, life experience that can still carry a signature on your soul. You know, we even call it a soul tie in a sense. Perhaps now is an opportunity to really like cleanse your energy. If you have gone through some splitting, some parting ways, even if they were in the most high vibration, maybe it's an opportunity in this retrograde period to cleanse your energy, to cut some cords, energetically, mentally, spiritually, perhaps even physically, which is the last case scenario. But a lot of us still carry the spiritual signatures of cords even beyond the physical attachment without even knowing it, just by the way of, you know, unforgiveness in itself, or just really finding a way to appreciate the experience for what it was. So I guess the best way to really cut cords and to find that space of closure to move forward in a sense, so that you can move into something that's a little bit more divinely dynamic to where you are in the present moment and more of a match to your present energetic signature, is to really call in gratitude for every life experience and connection and relationship and crossing of paths that you've had, because all of it has had some profound impact on exactly where you are now. There's really nothing that could have been missed or, you know, erased from your experience that would have gotten you to the place that you are now. And even if that doesn't even feel like necessarily the best place to be in, or, you know, there's some more idealistic space that you rather occupy, you know, if life itself is not enough to be grateful for, you know, or a fresh perspective to do something different isn't enough, then I don't know what will. Again, that's when you fall into this energy of ultimately killing, stealing, and destroying your own destiny. You know, when you have no one else to blame for the things that you're holding on to and the energy that you stay attached to. Because this card, I always say, no matter where you go, there you are. You know, things that you feel like you left behind but left unresolved will still find their way to you in your next at your next destination. So yeah, that's enough of that. Okay, Spirit of Truth. All right, we hear you, Spirit. Let me get another one. All right. Oh, falling all over the place. All right. Definitely Spirit of Truth here with these two. I almost feel like they deserve to be on their own sideline somewhere. We got the Ace of Swords and the Queen of Cups. Page of Pentacles is yet another offer, another small offer, again, where you are the Nine of Pentacles. You really would want to consider whether that's, whether it's a match, whether it makes sense, literally dollars and cents, or whether it makes spiritual sense to receive or to align with such an investment. And then again, as I said, on the flip side, it could be a small investment of sorts, a small coin that returns in dividends. You know, you could make a small investment in something that was just casual, or, you know, I don't know much about stocks and things like that, but you could make a small investment in something and it could actually bring a great return. But I see it more about the energetic investment. If not that, I know a hell of a lot about. I know a lot about energetic investments and what are good ones and what are not. And sometimes the smallest energetic investments have the greatest return. And here with the Ace of Swords and the Queen of Cups, some things that we have, we've paid attention to in the spirit in an upright way, you know, the visions that we've allowed to be revealed to us about who we are, and, you know, through our, as I was saying before, like through our emotional intelligence. Like that's the intel that I'm picking up here with the Ace of Swords and the Queen of Cups. Some of those cues that we've taken and sown, you know, those little seeds that we've taken from the divine of vision and intuition and clarity and truth that seemed like a small thing. We took that, we sold it, and now it's the Nine of Pentacles. Now it's a garden of an energetic field, that is more or less fulfilling, not just in the natural sense, in the material sense, and rewarding in that way, but it's a very spiritual fulfillment. So this is the sowing aspect, where you were in integrity with, the highest vibration of truth that you could access, that you could call in and dial into, and you allowed that to speak through you and to you through your emotional cues, your emotional intelligence. As I was saying before, when you're feeling a way about an environment, about a person, about a place, about a thing, and you don't really even necessarily have the physical evidence of it or why you should have a certain response or reaction, but you allow that to lead you anyway. That seemed like a very small thing to do, but in the grand scheme of things, it's afforded you, I'm seeing this here, celebration, in the spirit. And not only you celebrating, but the spirit and angelic realms, which were actually the guiding agents in that intel, you tapping into what those emotional impressions were ultimately the expressions of angelic realms that you had no evidence for, but you allowed yourself to be a conduit with or for, I guess I should say. And that communication, I hear, is what ultimately saved your life, definitely elevated your life and expanded your life to be in a Nine of Pentacles lover's state of being. So congratulations to you, for dialing into the intangible in a way that is not conventional or traditionally. And here they go. They said, oh, okay. Well, okay. The angel said, yes, that's exactly what this is. So where'd you go? I hope you can see this down here. Let me try to squeeze up the cards. I know y'all get tired of me saying, I hope you can see this. Like, girl, you ain't checked the camera. But it's weird. It's like I start with a certain angle, but once it all comes down to it, it's like you never know what's going to get cut off on the bottom half. So I'm stopping here anyway for whoever had that to say. But this is that's the truth of the matter, that there is a celebration in your honor for, this. It's like you're celebrating and being celebrated for your patience, for your devotion, your commitment to a divine dynasty, one that you were already a part of and perhaps didn't even know it. You weren't even aware that was your origin, but you felt something different. You felt an alignment beyond what life projected to you. You felt like you served a greater purpose. You felt like you were being called to something important and significant to do with your life. It goes back to that song, and I'm so glad that I was obedient, although at first resistant, to the spirit and singing that, because to be completely transparent, I've been speaking a lot about this disparity, this distortion of worship, when it comes to source and Jesus in particular and Christianity. And I love that song. It speaks to my heart in many different ways, and it's a part of my upbringing, my religious experience and everything. But I didn't want to feel like a hypocrite, in a sense, speaking of giving total praise to the Lord, in which in that song is referring to Jesus Christ, when I've actually been speaking much about really considering your idea of praise and your projection of praise, in a sense, and whether it is truly pure and being released in the most pure form. Because what I've been feeling is that we've been bypassing the importance of our presence in the earth in a very ethereal way, in a way that I don't necessarily believe that was even intended by Source itself, by the Most High Presence of all itself, for us to worship yet another being outside of ourselves as, in a default, in the default to divinity beyond what's been empowered to us, individually, and even, of course, collectively. So this is like, what I'm saying is, I was hesitant to sing that because I didn't want to send a mixed message from what I've been speaking about. And I feel compelled now to just reiterate that this is exactly what I'm saying, that Lord of all is you, that you are the Lord of your life in a very material sense, that you are the active agent that's connected to Source, that gets to bring to light and to fruition all of this magnificence in the earth that's been stored up in heavenly places and intangible spaces, but couldn't come to be by any other way but you allowing it to be so. About you committing to the plan of action to make it be, for you to allow yourselves to be expanded creatively and consciously, to conceive a possibility beyond what your surroundings may have spoken of or spoken to you was possible. For you to put your hand to the plow in spirit and in truth to activate this dynasty of sorts to be so in a physical sense. It's like the activation of divinity was so in a space that was intangible even to you, so it really couldn't even be seen by anyone outside of you. Back to this elevation of vibration, so that others can be inspired. So how does the work of love and light truly get to be expressed if not through you? Jesus isn't here in the flesh to do it. The torch has been passed to you as a divine being to be the expression of that love and light, of that truth, that divine truth of what it really truly means to exist, and to have an ethereally existential experience in the earth. That's exactly what all of this is, literally coming down from the lovers, from the heavens, down to the most physical, material, and also the most quantitative material card there is, with the 10 of Pentacles here. This is literally about an overflow of material wealth and gain. This is lifetimes of prosperity. This is multiple streams of income, or just dynasties of prosperity, and also the mindset and energy to continue the wealth beyond even your existence, so that everything that you did in this singular solitude, you and spirit place of being, has now multiplied, not just times 2, but now times 10 in a sense. And as I said, back to the song, the total praise is to that Source that has empowered you to do all, to be all, first and foremost, to be, do, and have all that is possible, for one energetic being to possess, not just in a lifetime, but in eternity. So let's see. And here's that offer again. But what is it though? It's that small seed, that seed of belief, that seed of hope, that seed of faith, that seed of love. Those were the seeds that were sown. These are literally fruits of the Spirit. I think there are actually 9 of them, maybe 8, but I think there are 9, where you were gentle, you were kind, you were patient, you were long-suffering, you were faithful, you were, there's so many, and I wish I know them, but when it's time to actually spew them out, I always miss some. But look up fruits of the Spirit and see exactly what the essence of an ethereal existential experience is. The thing that you are created to be, and what you are created to create ultimately. That's the exchange here on the earth. And it starts off very small, us almost as children with the Page of Pentacles, not having one little seed, our own self-awareness, may have started with a mustard seed of faith for you. It may have started with you just being kind to others no matter what your circumstances were. It may have started with you being patient for the visions that you possessed of yourself and your possibilities, being patient to see it come to fruition. It may have started with you enduring quite a bit of hardship and trials and tribulations in your life, but you had long suffering. You saw every experience through to its extension enough to even gain the value of the value of the wisdom of the experience that you had, to have some understanding of your experience and not just to absorb it, or be let it be a detriment, a bad seed planted in your garden. Like the little things, the little ways that we go about living this life that as in a human experience can be very challenging, definitely a charge to the spirit for sure, for you to even find your spiritual essence in all of, the projection of the carnal experience. It's hard to do that. She's surrounded by a very physical garden, but the seeds sown are very much spiritual, supernatural in a sense as well. So I don't want to ever want anybody to ever feel like I'm speaking of, the higher realms or God, if that's what you call it, or Jesus or any transcendent ethereal essence as trivial, because that's the very opposite of how I feel. I'm very clear that we all come from a space and a place, more a space than anything, that is beyond our humanistic comprehension in the most basic essence of it. And that's why we're being called to a space of worthiness, to be privy to that understanding and overstanding of our existence. And the way that we get there is by, believing that we have authority to that access. And if it's always a transmission between a third party as to how we get there, then there's always going to be, it's like the game of telephone. There will always be some distortion in that message, from yours to the divine and from the divine unto you. The way showers and ancestors and guides that are here to assist on our journey are here just as much for themselves as they are for us, because they're working through our existence. They're sewing up that Six of Cups energy right now is giving me, ancestors and the Three of Cups, ancestors vicariously living through us, that they're more or less that their sacrifices and the ways that they surrendered in spirit and the intel that they weren't privy to is now able to be activated in a more transcendent sense, so that it can evolve all of us creatively. I don't exactly know how that gets to be in the spirit realm yet, but I know that there's a deep connection, even if it's by way of the eternal evolution of life and ancestors now having, because we're raising the vibration of the seeds that we're sowing literally in the physical sense, meaning our children are more evolved, and their children and their children's children. Maybe there's a different gateway or stargate or access that ancient energies are able to portal through by way of the birth canal, or however this essence gets to be, that wasn't accessible before, because there's a certain vibration of vitality that one has to be for there to be that connectivity. I don't know. That's just a little side note, a little nugget. Maybe so, maybe not. I'm not sure, but I think that we about to F around and find out the way the world is evolving, the way the human spirit is evolving. It starts with that one little seed, to even allow yourself to to consider a possibility beyond what you know to be true. Do I have any evidence for that? Absolutely not. But my perception and my intention of conscious creation, co-creation and creation is expanding day by day, whereas one little seed of information, a possibility, is now an absolute, because I've allowed it to be born and birthed within me and within my reality, in a sense, just by my conception of it alone, And so that's where we are. The Ten of Pentacles, enough with that. The Ten of Pentacles is just the ultimate treasures of life that one can have, in the physical sense. And it's family, it's wealth, it's dynasty, it's a legacy of love, it's it's eternal life, ultimately, is what I hear, because this energy continues to manifest and create, as I said, because the children are high vibrational and their children are even higher than them, and their children are even higher, and every generation just continues to evolve until eventually there is no lower vibrational nature. It doesn't have a place to exist. It doesn't have a place to live. It doesn't have a place to grow. So one little seed of faith and belief can grow a garden that is ultimately the magnitude of existence itself. And it doesn't matter what could come up against that seed with the Five of Swords, because once this garden is growing, there's nothing that can stop it or chop it. That's exactly this energy here, with this sword, the Seven of Swords. It's already defeated. That's what the Five of Swords is, ultimately. It doesn't even really require me it's like a small thing to a giant, ultimately. One pentacle is a small pentacle to the 9, and damn sure to the 10, which is a whole generation evolved, So this minimal, basic ass energy here of deception, and these are like the lower vibrations of jealousy and envy and resistance and control, and by which these energies would like to still kill and destroy this evolutionary process that's happening organically. But the thing of it is, the more you evolve, the more defeated these attempts are. They don't have a place to live. They only have a place to grow from within your acceptance. And when you're sitting in a position at the 9 of Pentacles where you have physical evidence of what your spirit in the highest form can afford, literally the reward of it, and then what that spirit can co-create with, and then what those spirits can manifest together, there's no objectivity or adverse energy that can stand against that power, and it's in the vibration that it persists. It will ultimately, and does ultimately, and has ultimately, and will always ultimately defeat itself. So keep sowing those seeds, no matter how small you feel that they are. It could be as small as just a hobby that you love and really investing your time and energy into it, or even into your children, investing more time in the joys of life, enjoying your life with your kids in the way that they enjoy life, and seeing life through their eyes and being inspired by it with the Page energy. That's child vibes. It could be a small investment in your business that you've been putting on the back burner for a long time. A small investment in the energy that you put into it, if not the financial investment itself. Anything small that you can do in the way of something that is spiritually gratifying is like a splash in the bucket of what you will see return in that favor. All right, so let it be so, in spirit and in truth. Until next time, peace.